So thank you for everybody joining us. We are here today to talk about AI Unleashed, Supercharge Your End-of-Year Fundraising. If you are not already talking about AI or it's not in your everyday life, where have you been? It seems to be everywhere these days. Some organizations have really started to adopt it as part of their strategy. Some people are really new to that, and we're excited that you have the opportunity to really power a lot with your organization with what you can do and the many options that are out there. Today, we're going to really talk a little bit about all those for you. So I'm Josh Hirsch. I'm the senior strategist with Sukup Strategic Solutions. I spent the last 15 plus years working in the nonprofit sector as director of development, director of marketing, and really over time I've gravitated towards that communication side and all the power that you have to drive fundraising, to really create that emotional appeal and what is possible. I'm also a faculty member with the Indiana University Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, the fundraising school. I there get to teach other courses and help develop curriculum. It's a really incredible opportunity to teach and get out there and educate more people on this wonderful world of fundraising. Father of two. I've got a 13-year-old son who's 6'2", 155. The kid's a beast, and he's eating me out of house and home, unfortunately. And my 11-year-old is probably will give his brother a run for his money. He's a tough kid. So much fun, though. And probably the best thing I ever did for my career was become a member of the Association of Fundraising Professionals. I'm a member of the Florida First Coast chapter here up in the Jacksonville area. I serve on the board as Florida Caucus representative. For me, the opportunity is to get together on a monthly basis, and not even so just to get together, but to have this built-in network of those that think like me, that have those opportunities to reach out to if I ever have a question. So if you have not got involved in AFP in your local community, I highly recommend it. It's an incredible opportunity for you to grow further in your career. And most importantly, I'm a nerd. And I love being a nerd because it's my passion of following what I want, and nerds aren't what that personified before how they used to be. Nerds rule the world. Like being able to really hone into something that you're passionate about and push further, it's going to make you become more aware of what is possible. And that's why, like, to me, AI is such a powerful medium that we have available to us right now. Really taking anything that you have in your mind and seeing what you can do with it. So today, for our learning objectives, we're going to be discussing the various ways that AI can not only elevate your fundraising efforts, but it's about saving you time, and it's about giving you specific strategies that are customized and personalized for your organization and your constituents. Looking at data, because to me, data should drive everything. Data should be driving your content strategy. Data should be driving your overall communication strategy. And playing into that data, how can we further develop our end-of-year campaign strategy? And that's really what we're going to be looking at here today from a segmented perspective. Those personalized experiences that you can do, both from a data perspective. So imagine if you have a data set and you have your donor ID, because we never want to put personalized information into these GPTs. You don't want to use anonymized data. So you have donor ID record 27. You have that they've given to this campaign, that they have this specific interest, that they've given for this amount of time. You can then generate specific letters that are personalized to them in the amount of time like that. It's going to save you so much efforts to then focus on the donor stewardship, donor retention, and really getting out there and building those relationships. And then the looking at how you can walk away with practical and tactical tips today. My goal is for you to walk away today having the opportunity to go and put this into use. We're not just going to be talking theory, but we're going to be spending a good bit of time going through the tools themselves and seeing how you can put this all into action. So this is the interactive portion of this show. I want you to take out your phones and you're going to scan that QR code, or you can go to slido.com and enter in code 2496110. We're going to jump over there right now. And what we're going to do is build a live word cloud. So you're going to, like I said, you're going to go to slido.com, enter in code 2496110. You can do this on your phone, or you can scan the QR code. And I want you to answer the question, when you think of artificial intelligence, what words come to mind? I'm going to play along here too. And what we're doing is building a live word cloud. As you notice, people will start to have similar answers and those words become more prominent. I like to do this exercise to start off sessions because it gives me an idea of where people's mindsets are, their already experiences using the tools. So let's see, vast, helpful, 100%, unknown. So from an unknown perspective, yes, there's the understanding of being weary of what's out there. I like spell check. Spell check is a good one because you don't want to trust 100% validity of what's coming from the outputs. The way I like to say it is that AI is a really highly skilled intern that you're working with. They're going to need their hand holding. They're going to need their facts checked because there's a lot of times where you could have this, what's known as AI hallucinations, where they're basically making up facts and telling you things that you want to hear. So let's see, help simplify process. Absolutely. Decrease in jobs, I think, is questionable. I think what it's allowing people to do, those that are adopting it and becoming adept at it, are going to become further along in their careers and become more valuable, especially when you can understand the art and science of prompt engineering, because that's really where you're going to get your clean outputs. So this is great. Thank you, everyone, for playing along with this. I'm going to switch over to our next question. So I want you to answer, what is your level of knowledge and proficiency with using AI in your work or daily activities? Either I have no experience, I have basic awareness. See, I am proficient in AI. That's all right. So we got some people who are using this. Basic awareness is coming up top. All right. So this is good. So we have some newbies here. Some people have started to play around with this a bit. This is wonderful. So it gives me an idea of who we're joining us today and where we can go from there. So this is wonderful. All right. So a brief introduction of AI. So this is why, as a fundraiser, you want to be using it. It comes down to three pillars: increase efficiency, improved decision-making, and personalized outreach. It's going to save you time. It's going to automate tasks. Not so much like, I don't want to use the word busy work, but what it's doing is allowing you to take routines, take tasks, taking content development, taking strategy development, things that we all know how to do. We all know how to write an email appeal. We all know how to write a social media post or a press release. But imagine if you're able to create highly personalized content that is specific for your organization and your segmented constituents in a heck of a lot less time to then free you up to focus on those personalized experiences and touches with your donors for stewardship and retention. That's what we're going towards. That's our goal. From also an improved decision-making standpoint, the data analysis power that you have available to you is incredible. You already are sitting on a treasure trove of data from your CRM, what's living in there, and at the same time, the testimonials that you're doing, the surveys you're conducting, which if you aren't doing surveying your constituent base, I highly recommend you can do it. There's so much you can learn from there, and we're going to touch on that a little bit later today. And then that personalized outreach, like how are you going to create those personalized experiences that are talk to me as the donor, as the supporter, as the volunteer, or whatever specific niche I'm living in associated with your organization, and then those interests that I have connected to you, you're able to take time to do this, but much quicker. So at the heart of everything is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is really that science behind getting that patterns of what you're trying to get as your output. So this is my mind flow. This is when I'm working in prompt engineering, and we're going to spend a good bit of time today actually in the tool itself. So that's why I want to go through what a prompt looks like. So I start with, what is that solution I want to achieve? What is that problem that I have, and how can I reverse engineer that using AI? So I decide upon what's that prompt, what am I trying to work from, and then I'm going to devise my message. It's the old saying, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. If you are not clear with your directions, if you're not very clear with your instructions, you're not very clear with your outputs, what you're trying to get, you're not going to get a good, rich content. So thinking about natural language context, this is a conversation I'm having. I know it sounds silly, but I'm not just going to say, write a press release for a pet shelter in Houston. No, I'm going to have a conversation with it. I'm going to set the groundwork because it's learning from the context with which the way I speak to it. It's not picking up grammar. It's not picking up capitalization. So you don't need to worry about that so much. But when it's doing something right, I'm going to praise it And when it's doing something wrong, I'm going to admonish it because it's learning from me and it's learning from what I'm expecting of it and what's my desired output. So I've chosen my prompt, I've created my clear message, my inputs, and then I'm going to hit go. I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to get an output. I'm going to receive that response. 99% of that time, you're not going to be satisfied with the response. You're going to want to have additional iterations because this is what it is. It's an ideation tool. It allows you to get past that blank page syndrome and create content in a lot less time because we're increasing our efficiency and we're creating that personalized opportunities. So we're going to then revise our prompt and come back up to the beginning. We're going to look at a couple of different ways that you can make cleaner prompts. But what it comes down to is the create formula or a persona pattern. And the persona pattern is where we're creating that world in which the GPT, that generative pre-trained transformer that we're working with, that is going to generate content from that lens. So I will always start out, and you'll see as we get into the tool, I have like almost a cadence that I do when I start off a prompt. I always say, act like fill in the blank. Act like vice president of advancement for that pet shelter in Houston, Texas, who has 30 years of experience, is a subject matter expert. And you'll see how I get into that, because what it then allows me to do is have a conversation with that person. And that person's then going to give me the outputs that I'm looking for. So we're going to always start out by defining that role. Like I said, with your garbage in, garbage out, you want to be very specific with your request. So clean input is going to then, at the same time, give me that clean output. Tone is a huge game changer. Tone is what allows you to completely alter the output that is being generated. So thinking about what is your organization's voice, what is your organization's tone, and how do you get there? Well, if you don't have a brand identity guide, which I highly recommend everyone have a brand identity guide for their own organization, but having a set of your past press releases, of your past 5 years, end of year appeals, your Giving Tuesday letters, your social media content, feeding these examples into the tool themselves will then allow you to then create that persona of your organization. So you could create a vice president of marketing, a vice president of advancement that lives and breathes your organization and is going to give you that content based upon those examples. This is where it really starts from. And then data analysis is at the key. So we're going to finish up this last section on data analysis, and then we're going to jump into the tool itself and get to work. We're going to be working out of ChatGPT itself. We'll be looking at the free version, which is the 3.5 model. We will be touching, if there is time, a little bit on the plus side, which is the subscription model. But for $20 a month, the power that it unlocks for your organization from a data analysis side, because you can go even further, from the custom GPTs that you're able to create. And I created one that has a donor focus panel of various personas. So you can test campaign material. You can test your end of year appeal letter on various donor personas, a major donor, a board member, plan giving, one-time donor, a monthly donor, and then generate what's called a propensity to donate score. And based upon that score, obviously we want to get to a 10 out of 10, being most likely to donate. You can then have the tool itself, this focus panel, redraft that letter and give you what would be a desired score. So if we have time today, I want to show all that. But to me, this is once again where that nerdy side of me comes out. This is fun. Like, if you don't get excited about the power that you have available to you right now, no matter what your area is in nonprofits, whether you're in fundraising, whether you're in communications, whether you're in HR, I mean, there's so much that you can do. It's just what can you imagine? And how can we walk through the steps in a process to get to where we want to be? So from a data analysis perspective, we got 3 specific verticals we can live in. We have predictive donor behavior, which based upon data points, we can say, okay, well, looking at our data set, I say, this person has given us X amount of dollars over time. What is their next predictive gift? Or who can we look in our data set to become a next potential major donor or plan giving donor? It's so much power is available to you. It just comes back to the number one thing that all organizations need, which is clean data. Have a good CRM you're working out of, having clean data, have a data usage policy. You should have a lot of policies for your organization. You need to have a gift acceptance policy. You need to have a social media usage policy. But especially nowadays, if you are stepping into this world of AI, what is your AI usage policy? Are you going to be putting anonymized donor data into these databases? How are you going to be using it? Having that data usage policy in place is going to give you those guardrails within which you can live, and it's going to make such a difference for you. Then we look at targeted campaigns. So you can use this data to make these segmented specific campaigns for your monthly donors, for your major donors, planned giving. But more so, going the next step further, it's that enhanced donor journey, having that personalized experience that you're able to provide for them. There's a lot of different types of analysis that you can run using ChatGPT, whether, like we spoke about before, predictive analysis, descriptive analysis. But for me today, what we're going to touch on are two specific analysis. We're going to look at image and video analysis and sentiment analysis. We're going to start with image analysis, and this is something that's going to be in ChatGPT Plus. It is in the subscription model, but I just want to show you like how far like we are in this crazy world that we're living in right now. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to jump over to here. So if you've never seen ChatGPT before, this is what it looks like. It has these various conversations that you have going along. And what's important to remember, as you start within one of these conversations, you want to have an ongoing conversation in that one. Why? Because we're training it. It's learning from us as we go. It's learning that contextual nature from our conversation. And if I, have spent the last 2 or 3 days talking to this vice president of advancement for that pet shelter in Houston, but then go into start a new chat and ask it about that monthly donor program that we created, it's going to have no idea what I'm speaking about. So it's important to remember that as we go through. So we're going to now switch over to the 4.0 model, and this is through that subscription I said. But I wanted to talk about image recognition. We all know that storytelling and empathy really is what drives fundraising. Having that personal connection, getting us in that mindset to create that experience that we want for that constituent when they're reading that letter, whether they're a current donor or a soon-to-be donor. But as you notice, if we switch from the 3.5 model, we lose that little paperclip here, or the 4.0 model. So in 4.0, I can upload PDF files. So in theory, I could upload my Form 990 into here and have it run various data analysis points. I could sit there and run, you have an event in person and people will handwrite in their information for that check-in sheet. You could put that in there and have it create a table with you as a CSV file to make it more easier for then you to input into your CRM. But what we can also do is look at it from an image analysis perspective. So let me open this here. And we're going to open this first one. And I'm going to ask it a simple question, because once again, we are going to have a natural conversation with ChatGPT. So I'm going to simply say, what is happening in this image? So clearly this is an image of family at a park. So let's see what it says. The image depicts a family moment with 3 individuals who appear to be a family unit. There's an adult male and adult female holding a young child between them. They're closely embracing the child, suggesting a moment of affection and familial bonding. The lighting indicates that it could be either sunrise or sunset, contributing to the warm and gentle ambiance of the scene. The adults are smiling, looking at the child, who appears to be happy and content in the arms of the caregivers. Goes on about the outdoor setting, the attire. So we can ask the question, what mood and emotions are being evoked in this image? And the goal is, and let's see, so the image evokes a mood of warmth, joy, and contentment. The close physical proximity and embrace suggests a strong bond and affection within the family unit. Smiles on their face, particularly the child's, radiates happiness and a sense of security. Okay, so let's look at another image. And we'll do this one. What mood and emotions are being evoked in this image? The mood in this image is somber, and the emotions conveyed are quite poignant. The young girl's expression is one of sadness and possibly longing or fatigue. Her gaze is directed outward, not engaging directly with the viewer, which could indicate introspection or a sense of being lost in thought. The dim lighting and the stark, humble setting with the bare table and the simple bowl suggest neglect or hardship, enhancing the forlorn atmosphere. The overall composition of the image, with its muted colors and natural light, adds a sense of realism to the scene, evoking empathy and concern for the child's well-being. So when you're looking at what sort of mood, emotion that you're trying to create for your story that you're telling through your appeal letters, utilizing AI to either A, look at what you currently have in-house from an image perspective and what do we want to share, or reverse engineer that, saying that I want to create an image that evokes an emotion of happiness, that radiates warmth and joy. How are we going to get there? At the same time, I'd be curious for us to say, all right, let's upload these two different images. And this is two different families at the park. So we have the original family at the park and we have a different emotion at the park. So based on the two images provided, which we're going to start off. We want to send a fundraising appeal letter for end of year campaign for our food pantry in Houston, Texas. Based on the two images provided, which would create more empathy in donors to want to contribute to our food pantry? What I love about AI in general is I never know what I'm going to get. Every time I hit enter, something else could come. And is it going to be exactly what I'm looking for? I don't know. That's why when we're going through that prompt generation workflow, looking at specifically which way am I going to go. So let's see what it says here. For a fundraising appeal, particularly for a food pantry, the goal is to evoke empathy and a sense of urgency that prompts action from potential donors. The two images convey very different emotions and narrative. The first shows a young girl sitting at the table. Oh, interesting. It's pulling from up here. With a forlorn expression. The second image depicts a family in a park with expressions of sadness and concern. The first image would likely be more effective for your campaign because it directly illustrates the issues at hand. Second image, while it does evoke empathy, might be better suited for a broader type of family sport. Interesting. So I like that. So we're able to use the image analysis from the tools itself to help guide our decision-making process. What I want to share is that all these images were created using AI. This family does not exist. This girl does not exist. This family does not exist. And it comes back to that AI usage policy that you have. Within those guidelines, are you going to be generating images for your organization where they don't necessarily exist? Think if you're a battered women's shelter, you can't necessarily show the clients that you work with because of various privacy concerns. However, we know that we want to create that empathy that we're able to through emotions, through these imagery. So is it okay to take, an AI tool to create that image, or do you want to rely upon some stock imagery? These are all things that if you have a clear, specific AI usage policy, then you'll have a better idea. All right, so let's now move on to sentiment analysis. So let's jump back over to 3.5, which is the free model that anyone can access. And we're going to go to our persona pattern generation, our create format. So as I said, my cadence is act like. That's how I'm always going to start off with. So for this purpose, doing sentiment analysis, we're going to be working with a data scientist. So act like a data scientist who is a subject matter expert in nonprofit organizations. You are a 30-year veteran who is well respected by your peers. You have written multiple journal articles published in you have and presented internationally at conferences. So hit enter. So now we have created those blinders through which it can work. For some reason, and I've been noticing this recently, whenever I create that persona, what it does is write me a letter, which I find interesting. But it's good because it gives me then, once again, what are those bullet points? What are those areas of expertise? So data-driven decision-making. Well, that's who I want to be working with. Donor segmentation, 100%. Because we talked about it being an expert in nonprofit subject matter, it's already pulling out that donor specific impact assessment. These are the sort of things that we're looking for. Obviously, ethical data practices, because we have a clear data AI usage policy, we're going to stay within that. And this is great. I'm excited. So for this example, we're looking at, and here are some where it's pulling some of this data from within the custom instructions. So in ChatGPT itself, you can create custom instructions for what everything is based off of. And one of the custom instructions I have is list URLs at the end of your response, not in line, so it keeps it all clean. Some other ones that I like is, no moral lectures, consider new technologies and contrarian ideas, not just the conventional wisdom, value good arguments over authorities, a source is relevant. Even though it says treat me as an expert in all subject matter, I like to drill it down even further so it knows specifically what we're talking about in that conversation. You have up to 1,500 different characters to use here, so it can be really powerful. And as you see, it's enabled for all new chats. So anytime that, go away, buffer. Oops, sorry about that. All right, now it went away. I didn't. It then allows you to have that base for all of your conversations. So for what we're going to do right now is look at our food pantries Thanksgiving food drive. So we ran a fundraising campaign in July for our food pantry in Houston. And we want to, based upon those survey responses that we got, and we surveyed our donors, we surveyed board members, and we surveyed volunteers. And we have 30 testimonials that we're going to review. So and in an ideal world, you're already sitting on this kind of data. Whether you have an ongoing opportunity that you have built in for your organization, that you're constantly surveying your constituents, or you're doing it on a quarterly basis, an annual basis, whatever it is, learn from those that you're helping. Help that guide your content strategy. Help that guide your fundraising strategy. Don't just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Use the data that you have available to you, both in your CRM, as well as to great qualitative data like this. This is like really powerful stuff. So what we're going to do is look at this data, and utilizing sentiment analysis, we're going to look identify what has negative, neutral, and positive sentiment. And at the same time, what are those keywords within those testimonials that are driving and identifying those sentiment? From there, we're going to look and pull out trends amongst those various sentiments. And at the same time, because of the power we have available to us, we can segment it out by specific roles that they're playing, whether that be volunteer, donor, or board member. From there, we can then help devise our end-of-year fundraising strategy based upon the success and failures of our July fundraising one. So by combining both our negative and our positive sentiment, ideally coming out with only a positive sentimental experience for each of those roles for our end-of-year campaign. So let's see all that in action. So what I'm going to do is simply come into my Excel document. Here this is, Microsoft Excel on Word or online Office 365. So it works in Office 365 or it works in the desktop version of Excel. So I just copied my rows, and I'm going to drop those cells into here. So we're going to say, because I want to be very specific with my prompt, with the message that I'm sending. So our goal is to create a table that lists all this information and then pulls everything out. So create a table that has a column for the role, the testimonial, the sentiment of each testimonial, and the keywords from the testimonial that helped identify the sentiment. Create a table based on the data below. Now we're going to drop in our data and we're going to hit enter. Let's see what happens. Awesome. So we have the role, we have the testimonial, and it's identifying based upon the testimonial that sentiment that's being derived. And then from there, those keywords specifically that we're seeing that's identifying it. So let's break this down even further. So create a table grouped by role based upon the results above. So now we have it just looking at our volunteers. And we now have it based upon our donors. And we have it based upon our board members. I mean, look how quick we're able to be doing this. It's like, to me, it blows my mind. And it's once again where the nerdiness of me comes out. All right, so we can dig a little further. So I can now, because I have that power available to me, segment this out. So let's look at what's most important because we're doing a fundraising campaign. Let's start with our donors. So overall, we can see we only had one negative experience from our donors. We had one mix being neutral and the rest was positive. So that's great. So we know that we're in a good place with our donors. If we look more here, we have 1, 2, 3 negative from our volunteer experience. And then we're looking at our board. So we had 1, 2, 3 negative from our board. So let's address our negative concerns first. So identify trends amongst the 3 segmented groups. Let's see, identify trends based upon negative sentiment amongst the 3 segmented groups. Identify trend based on negative sentiment amongst the 3 segmented groups. All right, so let's just start with there. Identify trends amongst, yeah, all right, let's see what we get. So now we're having the segmented information based upon the negative responses. So with our volunteers, where there's issues with communication and clarity, burnout, and promotional strategy. For our donors, transparency, which we always know is key, and they want ongoing updates. The board members felt there was some issues with follow-through and execution. We could have done a better job with marketing and outreach and learning improvements. So as I said before, we're going to praise it when it does something good. We're going to admonish it when it does something bad. So this is great. Thank you for your help with this. Now let's look at the segmented roles based on positive sentiment. So let's see what we're doing right. So our volunteers were excited. They're really into it, which is great. They really like the fact that we started in July to fundraise for our Thanksgiving campaign. There was good community engagement, so our donors are, know what they're doing, what their gifts are doing are really helping. They like that we're planning ahead, which is good. Which if we're able to do that, that's amazing. Heartwarming support, that's great. And then the board members like the achievement and the continuous improvement and overall strategic thinking was good. Okay, so our goal is to create the most ideal fundraising campaign for our end of year possible based upon the successes and failures of this July campaign. So we are now going to work on our end of year campaign. Our goal for the campaign is to raise $10 million from November 29th, because we're going to say that all right, so this year Giving Tuesday is November 28th. We'll say that that's the launch of our end of year campaign. So to raise $10 million from Giving Tuesday, November 28th, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Being very specific with our instructions to get a very clear and concise campaign as our output. So we're now going to work on our end of year campaign. Our goal for the campaign is this. Based on the positive and negative sentiment from our July fundraising campaign, create an outline for a end of year campaign that launches October 1st. Because once again, if Giving Tuesday is the launch for our end of year campaign, we're not just going to start talking about Giving Tuesday on the day before, on November 27th. Ideally, you've been communicating with your constituents for 6 weeks leading up to it, that mid-October timeframe, with your first email going out and your various touches. So we're saying create an outline for an end of year campaign that launches October 1st, 2023. Create an outline for this is a multi-channel campaign utilizing email, direct mail, social media, and SMS. And SMS. Social media, text messaging. We'll just say text messaging. There will be a gala on December 15th, 2023, celebrating 25 years of feeding 5 million families in the Houston, Texas area. All right, so this is very specific of what we're looking for our end of year campaign. So our main ask was to create the outline based upon all this. Let's see what happens. I have no idea. So it's listening to my instructions. I asked it to, based on the sentiments and feedback from the July fundraising campaign, here's an outline for your end of year campaign. Because once again, we're using the data to drive our strategy. So campaign overview, came up with the name 25 Years of Giving, Hope for the Holidays. Hate the name. We're going to come up with a different name for the campaign. We got our time frame. We got our goal was, our key components, the pre-campaign. This is brilliant. So I said that Giving Tuesday should launch right around, the mid-October, 6 weeks out. So it's building in a pre-campaign without me even telling it to do it. Even though I said we want to start October 1st. Wow, love it. So this is once again, this is the nerdy side out of me. Like, it thinks for you. This is like, it's going to become your best friend. I know it's kind of sad to say that, but there's so much that you can do from your personal and professional life. I'm using this. So, during that initial part, segmentation, that's going to be key. Creating customized, segmented messaging. Someone who's giving you $25,000 annually is a major donor, and someone who gives you a one-time gift of $25, their ask and their communications and stewardship and segmentation messaging is going to be completely different. So utilizing the power of AI, we can do that so much easier. Within those first 2 weeks, that's when we really want to work on our content, and then also at the same time begin promoting our gala, which is going to be 2 months out from there. So then we launch our multi-channel campaign and I love it. So it's already having a separate Giving Tuesday campaign. It's saying launch the Giving Tuesday campaign on November 28th itself. We know that we're going to change the timing a little bit because once again, the initial output is never going to be our final one. So we launch our social media here through this, touching on all what we said, our email, our direct mail, our social. I like how it's sending periodic updates through text messaging. That's great. And then post Giving Tuesday, continue pushing through there. Then we get to our gala. And then we're looking at our December 16th, so our last 2 weeks push. And then, so this is great. I didn't even tell it, but it's already going into our stewardship launch for 2024, which we know that that's the most important part, is that we want to thank, tell and share the impact of the gift. So this is wonderful. I love that we're able to focus on that. then continuous engagement, our ongoing stewardship, and then using our data to track it. So in 30 seconds, it now built me a 3-month campaign for end of year to raise my $10 million across that. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. We can now go much further into this. And I'm just going to check, see, we have some couple questions here. Apparently looks like the chat was disabled. So that's, we apologize about that. We'll make sure that next time that's not, but you can drop your chat, your message into Q&A. We'll next time make sure that's not the case. Sorry about that. All right, so let's now look at the beginning of our campaign. So campaign name, I hate that. This campaign, all right, so let me start off with, we're gonna, praise it. This is a great overview. Thank you. But I hate the campaign name. Create a table with 10 options of new names for the campaign. Include a column for the reasoning behind it as such. Because that campaign name, that theme that we're going to be going with, and it's one in play into this 25 years. So Seasons of Generosity, a silver anniversary. Let's see. Do not like mentioning our gala, community compassion, joyful giving. I really don't like any of these names. Harvest of Hope. Okay. Getting a little closer. Harvest of Hope. I'm liking that. It's playing into the food name a bit. Hope evokes the imagery of bountiful harvest, symbolizing the positive impact your organization has had over the past 25 years. Okay, you know what? We're going to go with that. You sold me. The name for our campaign is Harvest of Hope, 25 years of impact. This name should be the theme that runs through all communication touches throughout the entire campaign. That's fantastic. The Harvest of Hope is a meaningful and inspiring theme for your end of year campaign. It's beautiful, encapsulates the essence. With this theme in mind, you can create a consistent and cohesive narrative that runs through all communication. Here are some key elements to consider incorporating into your campaign based on visual identity, storytelling, messaging, gala, social media, email. All right, love it. So how we're going to incorporate this into everything. This is wonderful. I really appreciate you providing the key elements to consider for the campaign. You will be sure to include this thought process as we develop more for the campaign. All right. So you're very welcome. I'm delighted to hear that you found the key elements helpful, incorporating. So let's go back to our outline. And keep in mind, I'm going to, obviously this is not the final document. I would revise this and whittle it down to where it's much more specific to our organization, to where it's speaking our tone, our language. But this gives me an initial overview. I'm going to pull this into a Word document, into Google Docs, and work from there. But we know that within the first 2 weeks, we want to focus on segmentation. So what are the segments? What are the segmented audiences we should identify for our end of year campaign? But beyond that, let's use a specific pattern. So the question refinement pattern is a way to take the question that you have for it and make it better. So utilizing the question refinement pattern, because basically it's going to break down the question itself and then give you the answer. So utilizing the question refinement pattern, create a improved prompt based on the prompt below. Ask me if I want to use that new prompt. All right, let's see what we get. Would you like me to help you identify the specific segments of audiences that would be most effective for targeting your end-of-year campaign? Yes, that's what I want you to do. To identify the most effective segmented audience for your end-of-year campaign, consider the following factors: donor history, demographics, engagement levels, lapsed donors. Yeah, absolutely. Live bunts last year, but not this year. Side bunts some year, but not this. Major donors, volunteers, corporate partners, event attendees. These are a lot of different segments to have customized messaging for, that if in the world before AI, it would have taken you a long time to do. But utilizing the tools properly, utilizing the prompt engineering, you can make it so much easier and much more effective for you. So would you like further guidance on how to craft tailored messages and strategies for these segmented audiences, or do you have any other questions? Yes, let's work on some tailored messaging and strategies for our major donor segment. Give it a second to think. And remember, we're doing this all in the free version of ChatGPT 3.5 model. You all have the ability to do this. It just comes back to clean prompting, knowing what those clear outputs that you're looking for to generate the output based on your inputs. So go, certainly crafting tailored messaging and strategies for your major donor segment is crucial. Require personalized and strategic communication to engage and inspire them to contribute generously. Here's a step-by-step approach. Obviously, we're going to segment out our major donors based upon the data in our CRM. Whatever we set that threshold is. For our food pantry in Houston, our threshold is $5,000 or more annually. We're going to understand their interests and motivations. So this goes back to what I said before. If we have a great, clean data in our CRM, we know that this donor loves to give annually for our Thanksgiving meal, or this donor loves to ensure that students have breakfast each day, so they give for our food, for our back to school meal drive. Having this data available to us is going to then create more segmented and personalized opportunities for that. We know that the personalized messaging is key, highlighting past successes. So this is great. We now have the overview for that. So what we're going to do is look at our giving, once again, Giving Tuesday being our launch to our end of year campaign. We're going to create a, because it's a multi-channel approach. So create an email appeal for our major donors. All right, so create an email appeal targeting our major donors. The appeal should be written from the perspective of a 10-year-old girl who has who had a Thanksgiving meal thanks to their ongoing support annually. The email should include 3 donation asks, including one in the PS. The letter should be written from, or the letter should be written at the 6th grade reading level, because as we know in fundraising, we want to be in that sweet spot of that 6th to 8th grade reading level. All right, so create an email appeal targeting our major donors. The appeal should be written from the perspective of a 10-year-old girl who had a Thanksgiving meal thanks to their ongoing support annually. The email should include 3 donation asks, including one of the PS. All right, perfect. Let's see how we go. Once again, anytime I hit enter, I have no idea what I'm getting, and I know that it's not going to be the best. So I already hate this intro. I hope this message finds you well and warm as we approach horrible. My name is Emily and I'm 10 years old. I want to take a minute. No, I hate this intro. This is not at all good. Subject line is horrible. A Thanksgiving thank you from a 10-year-old friend. No. All right. So let's tear this apart. And here's the other thing. If this is a major donor and we know that they're giving at X amount of dollars annually, starting the giving level asks at 50, 100, 250 is not where I would start. Using my data, I could have the instructions be anyone who fits at this donor persona level at giving this level, then it can customize the donation amounts and what they would be able to do with that. I do like that it's giving you that the impact, because we know that a lot for today's generations, they want to see the direct impact of their gift. So that's good. But however, knowing that I'm targeting a segmented audience of major donors who are giving at $1,000 annually, asking them for $50 is not what the ask that I would be doing, because I'm using the data to drive my strategy. So let's start with the subject line, because that's at least the first part is this opening paragraph. Hey, create a table with 10 subject line options and a column for the reason. It's going to generate my table. While it does that, I'm going to read through the letter a little bit. You see, every year my family and I used to struggle to have a nice Thanksgiving dinner. We didn't have much, and it made the holiday a little sad. But then something amazing happened. Your support made it possible for families like mine to have a delicious Thanksgiving meal. I can't even begin to tell you how much it means to us. Imagine the joy on my mom's face when she doesn't have to worry about how to put food on the table for Thanksgiving. I get to have turkey, stuffing, and pumpkin pie just like in the movies. It's like a dream come true for us. But there's something else I want to share with you. Your kindness doesn't just fill our tummies, it fills our hearts with hope. It shows us there are good people out there who care about kids like me and their families. You inspire. What I do like about this is the heavy emphasis of the you language. We're putting the communications back on the donor as the hero. They're the ones who are making it possible. The food pantry is just that conduit to care. They're the ones who are being able to take that generosity from the donors and ensure that Emily has food on her table for Thanksgiving. So let's look at our subject line. So I like the ones that's mentioning Emily. It's already putting me in that mindset of having a connection with who's going to be in this story. So Emily's Thanksgiving, your gift, their joy. From Emily's heart to yours. I don't love that. A Thanksgiving miracle. No, it's not a Thanksgiving miracle. Okay, I don't love any of these. Help us create more Emily stories. That just doesn't sound right. Giving thanks, Emily's story of hope. We'll use this one. Don't love it, but for today's purpose, and our time running out, we're going to use that. So use the subject line, giving thanks, Emily's story of hope. Redraft the opening paragraph using this subject line as the theme. Let's see what we get. As Thanksgiving approaches, we want to share Meet Emily, a 10-year-old girl, which kind of goes against what I said because I wanted it to be from her perspective. So, I'm going to revise it some more. So this isn't what I was looking for. I want the letter, or I want the email to be from Emily's perspective and told from her voice. I want to write to you because something amazing happened. Thanks to your incredible support, I get to have a Thanksgiving meal. It's still not there. It's not what I'm looking for. I think we can create something much more powerful and engaging. But for the time being, we're going to move on to that. We're just going to do some quick social media content to support this letter. I don't love it, but I'm going to tell it that it did a good job, and then we're going to move on. So this letter is good for now. It's not great, but we'll use it as a starting point for our social media content. Create a 2-week or no, so we'll just do it once. So create a 1 week social media content calendar. Sorry. Create a table with the first week of social media content as we launch the campaign on October 16th. The table should include copy for Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Include recommended images. All right, let's hit enter and see what happens. So it gave me the same post. Yeah, so this is not what I was looking for. So this isn't what I was looking for. I want a table that has different copy for each channel and a post for every day of the week. Each post should be a minimum of 3 sentences. All right, we broke it. Start regenerating it. See, it apologizes because I told it what it did wrong. And it's still doing the same yeah, so I'm not loving that. This isn't what I wanted. I wanted different copy on each day for each separate channel. Don't just copy and paste from one channel to the other. See if it listens to me this time. It's apologizing. Here's your revised table for first week. All right. All right, so now it's starting to listen. So once again, the first output wasn't exactly what I wanted. It needed some additional help. It's getting a little more long. Would want something more robust. Keep in mind, this is just the intern outputting it. I would never just copy and paste this output. This would be something that I'd be starting from. I know that we went through a lot today over this last hour. I wanted to say thank you for joining us. You know, honestly, like I could speak about this topic for hours. We could spend an entire half day or more just diving into how we could build out your specific campaign. If you are interested, we do have a free 30-minute consultation available on our website. You're going to be getting a follow-up email. Would love for you to join us on there. Happy to discuss potential content strategies and overall campaign strategies using that. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can go ahead and scan that QR code. Send me a message. We'd be happy to chat further. You know, this has been a lot of fun today. And as you see, you're never going to get it right the first time. We saw that those outputs had to be continuously revised to really get to what I wanted from that specific prompt, but so powerful. I mean, how we're able to cut through that data, how we're able to sit there, use our past campaign data to begin to develop an outline for our strategy. And not only just that outline for that strategy, all the various components that were a part of it, and then how we can break down those components even further, and then how we can segment it out, those various components. You now have such power available into your hands. I wanted to say thank you for joining today. This was a lot of fun, and we hope to see you again next time.